the answer a little bit later on in the show. But as we mentioned, today is the first day back for school for Hamilton County students, and that transition from summer fun to schoolwork can be hard for any child, but especially for those who have ADHD. Psychiatrist Dr. Tim Jennings is here this morning with things that parents can do to keep their children from even developing ADHD, or at least to control it if it's already been diagnosed. Dr. Jennings, so nice to see you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
You came walking in and we began talking a little bit, and I grabbed my pen and paper and began to take notes, because this is something that every parent needs to hear, because it's a preventive step that you can take.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to give them a little acronym with some specific things they can do, but I just want to give a little about developmental brain so parents understand why. When a baby is born at birth, that brain has hundreds of millions of neurons more at birth than that brain will have by the time the child is 8 years of age. For the first 8 years of life, the brain is busy knocking off neurons by hundreds of millions. And at first that doesn't sound good, but conceptualize Michelangelo's block of marble when he gets it, and Michelangelo's block of marble when he's done with it. When he's done with it, he has less marble, but he has a masterpiece. So that your children's brains are actually busy right now being impacted by environment, education, experiences, and neural circuits which are being exercised will expand and grow stronger, but those which are being left idle will actually get weaker during this developmental period.
Okay, so that's why, just like the foods you eat, and in truth, we'll find out the foods you eat play a part.
Huge part.
But it's important what you put into your child's brain or don't put in. So you develop this
Yes. So if you want your child to be smart, and you want to be a smart parent, and let's use that acronym, SMART.
Thank you. I was trying to say an acronym. Okay. So first one, S, is sleep.
Sleep, that's right. Depending on the age of the child, they need different amounts of sleep. If the child is 6 to 11, 6 to 12 years of age, the child needs 10 hours of sleep a night. Most children are about 2 hours short.
So it's all elementary age students need to be getting those 10 hours of sleep.
10 hours of sleep.
Okay, and if you're in middle school or high school, really, then you can get 8 to 9.
8 to 9, but you've got to sleep. There are 4 physical requirements to life: air, food, water, and sleep. And most of us don't realize that sleep one, but it's a physical requirement. It's non-negotiable. If you cut your air by 20%, you're not going to do well. You won't die, but you're going to feel run down and won't think well. If you cut your sleep chronically by 20%, you're going to be chronically impaired. And the first part of the brain impaired by sleep deprivation is the prefrontal cortex, which is the same that's impaired by ADHD. One study of kids diagnosed with ADHD were given a sleep study, and 1 in 4 actually had a sleep disorder, obstructive sleep apnea, that when treated, the ADHD symptoms went away. Okay,
let's go on with the M. M is for meals.
Meals, exactly. Give your child a healthy diet with fruits, nuts, grains, vegetables, and fish. You actually have lower rates of ADHD than if you don't.
All the same foods that you hear benefit your heart and your overall health also benefit your brain.
Absolutely.
Okay, A is a long list, because that's for what to avoid.
Yes.
And so here we're looking at them: pesticide-laden foods.
Pesticide-laden foods, fast foods, junk foods, soft drinks, red meats, processed meats, all of these types of things actually interfere with neural signaling. And for instance, pesticides, the way they work is by damaging the neural circuitry of the pests you're trying to kill. And so if you get pesticide-laden food, it actually damages the brain and interferes with neural signaling.
Okay, everyone's going to have their day where they celebrate and they go get pizza, they go to the drive-through. An occasional stepping off, okay or not okay?
An occasional stepping off isn't going to cause a chronic long-term problem, but when you occasionally step off, parents just test it out. You're going to find that day your kid's going to be irritable, hyper, less able to focus. You're going to see the symptoms of that day, and you're going to notice it.
You're talking to the choir here, preaching to the choir, because I was just telling one of my children, the week's been off, we've been crazy this week, and every day there's been something not in our routine food, and it's made a difference in one of their behaviors. Okay, then you go on to R.
Actually, one more thing on avoid is artificial flavors and sweeteners.
Okay. And also on the avoid, this is where we have to talk for a long time.
Yes.
The theatrical movies and TV.
Yes, theatrical entertainment has as its primary function to suspend the use of your prefrontal cortex. And if you think about it, if your favorite theatrical programming, next time you're watching it, actually think about it and ask, what's the likelihood this could happen? Can this really go on in real life? And you're going to suddenly find the show becomes less enjoyable. So it's a dose-dependent thing. The more theatrical entertainment kids, like movies and TV programming, that has a entertainment theater, not educational, the more they watch of it, then the more activation of the mood circuits they get, the less activation of the prefrontal cortex circuits they get. And so when they hit adolescence, they're less able to control their moods. They're more impulses. They're more likely to have alcohol and drug-related problems, promiscuity, and they'll often turn to substances to try to calm their moods because their prefrontal cortex is impaired.
Okay, but let's break this down so that people watching at home are understanding what you're talking about. You really mean specifically, unless you're watching an educational program. So you mentioned the History Channel, you mentioned PBS, you mentioned I don't know, something that you might
like
find.
Discovery Channel.
Discovery Channel. Okay, that's an educational program.
Right.
If you're watching SpongeBob,
that's not
that
education.
is not education.
No, cartoons, SpongeBob, those types of programming actually will increase the amount of attention problems. It's studied by Zimmerman and Kostaki in 2007 looked at that, and a lot of parents think if it's R-rated, it's bad. G-rated is okay. No, they looked at R-rated, G-rated. It didn't make a difference. If it was theatrical, it caused attention problems.
All right, let's go on so we can get through the list. R now is for replenish.
Yes, we want to replenish omega-3 fatty acids, which come from fish oil, which are required for a healthy brain. And if children have deficiencies in zinc or iron, we want to replenish those.
And you mentioned the cases where they've been anemic, they get the iron they need, the ADHD goes away.
Yes.
Okay, and then the last one, T, really what you're hoping is if you follow the first four, the T is unnecessary, but that's to get treatment if it's not working.
Yes, and if kids who are not treated with ADHD actually have higher rates of alcohol drug problems, have sex at an earlier age, and have less success in school and career than kids with ADHD who get treated.
Okay, and as a parent, I guess what you have to remember is listen to your advice and believe it. And don't be susceptible to peer pressure, because as parents, we look at how other people are living, and you hate to be the one that's not doing it. Most people don't follow these guidelines, Dr. Jennings. We just don't. And it's difficult to step up and say, sorry, but my kids can't watch that show. Sorry, but my kids can't eat that food.
That's exactly right.
But you got to do it.
You got to do it.
All right. Now, that's the tip of the iceberg. On another topic, ADHD can kind of go hand in hand with depression, and you have an upcoming lecture there at your offices on Lee Highway about that very topic.
Yes, we're going to have a free lecture to the community on August 30 at 6:30 on drug-free treatments for depression. And if you'd like to come, just call our office 531-4110 and reserve a spot.
Okay, again, it's drug-free treatments, and there's the information again right there on Lee Highway. Dr. Jennings, lots of parents like me scribbling notes. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We are back with much more 3+U right after this.